Welcome to Season 3 of the Amani Experience podcast. In this podcast, you will experience wisdom, advice, and stories from creatives all over the world. Your host is the award-winning Amani Roberts, who is a DJ, music producer, professor, author, and undercover gamer. On the show, we love to share the stories of creative professionals, especially people who have gone from the corporate life to the creative life. Once again, welcome to the Amani Experience podcast.
I would like to welcome Duane Draughon to the Amani Experience podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How's your day?
We're doing pretty well also. We do a geographical check-in whenever we start the show. So right now I'm in Redondo Beach, right outside LA, California. Where are you currently?
Must be nice. I say Chicago, Illinois, but we're a western suburb called Naperville, about 34 miles out of the city.
All right. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Columbus, Ohio.
Nice. Now, I understand that you currently have a couple businesses you work, but you also DJ as well. Is that true?
Okay, I'm a retired DJ. I retired.
Okay. So you retired. What was your DJ name first?
It was it started off as let me start this first. I did not know I was going to be a DJ. Matter of fact, I really didn't even start listening to music till after I DJ. Somebody gave me some computer software, so I started playing with music. But I listened to a lot of reggae, so my first DJ name was Select the New Guns. And then when I accidentally became the DJ and started DJing all over the city, I had to switch it to DJ New Guns.
Nice. What equipment did you use?
I ran Serato was my main, and I ran the Denons. I had the Denon heads and the Denon mixers.
All right. I always have to give DJ a shout out. You know, you're never retired, as my guy on the chat said. TechSuit said you can never retire. So I saw that. I was like, okay, we got to ask about that. My next question is, what was it about mowing lawns that kind of kept you busy when you were younger?
Mowing lawns.
Wait a minute here. See what we can do here. Log back on. Love technology. It always works for us. Let's see here. We'll have to wait for Duane to pop back on when he logs back on. A couple of technical difficulties. Hold tight real quick. Let's see here. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you here. Hi, Libby. Happy Friday. We're just trying to make it happen. Make it work here. Yes, we stand by. Adjust. Let's see here. Got some good questions to ask. Be fun. Oh, you're able to sing, Deshaun. I don't know if I can sing. Maybe I should have brought my piano down. I could have played the piano or whatever. But my first job. Oh, Melissa, see, we're going to have a little show together, Melissa. My first job, I'll say my first job was probably bagging groceries at this grocery store in Silver Spring, Maryland called Snyder's Supermarket. And I was there all through high school. Like, started when I was in the 8th grade, 9th grade, legally, I hope. And started bagging groceries, did that all the way through high school, and then went off to Howard. So that was my first job. Yeah. So Duane, well, I kind of want to surprise you with Duane's bio, but he's dope. He's got he's what is called like a outdoor living design specialist. and that's what Duane does. We're going to talk about his experience there. So that's kind of his quick bio. Leadership lessons from bagging groceries. I don't know. Show up. That's the first thing, because it would be bad weather, and snow. In DC area was snow, sleet, rain, but you always had to show up, bag people's groceries, help people out. Show up on time, stay late if they asked you, kind of jump in that way. So that's what I learned there. Let's see here now.
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back.
How we doing?
Yeah,
right.
our system, like we have a data center that's in this house that we're trying to operate on, and we're fighting with the Wi-Fi system over here.
Okay.
I got new mesh systems and everything, so we're sometimes it'll last all day, and sometimes it'll drop. So we're trying to get it right.
Okay. Well, no, it's technology. We'll keep rolling. So I was asking you about what was about mowing lawns as a youth that kept you busy.
First of like I said, I'll get more in depth in it. But what happened was I was actually following my father, and he started a company. Actually, my mother told him to buy some lawnmowers that keep us out of trouble, and we loved it. It wasn't the same thing that all the other kids were doing in school. We got to leave, do something different. It empowered us. And my brothers, I mean, we really kicked in hard. It was a passion. It really was. Like it was deep. Come to think about it.
For sure. Now, I know you tell us about the time when you met our previous guest, Melissa Majors, and started to work with her and get her mowing lawns as well.
Man, that's my family. Like Melissa's my sister. We grew up together. She's my cousin. Like her dad and my dad, they're brothers. So Melissa and I, we were those cousins that hung out from almost birth. Right. Like, I even think there's probably a story that her name was supposed to be my name and my name was supposed to be her name. If it was vice versa. I think we started from, the bowels.
All right. Love
the beginning of life.
Now, I understand your kind of title is like outdoor living design specialist. It's one of your titles.
Yes.
How would you define that?
Well, what it is I'm in the landscape industry, and this is something that took me a while to define. I'm not a landscaper. Like I'm not. I enjoy plants. I enjoy things like that, but that's not what I am. And so that industry has specific. You're either a landscaper, you're maintenance, or you're landscape architect. My background is architectural engineering, and so I took that background and brought it into outdoor living, and so now I'm an outdoor living designer. And it's sort of I'm in a world of my own, and I made it. So if somebody even copies that title, they're now a part of me. But that's my title, and that's what I'm running with.
Love it. How would you summarize yourself where you are today in 30 seconds or less?
I'm living. I'm living my best life, my really best life. I'm living hard, really good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then to continue on, I view you definitely as a creative professional. What's important, in your opinion, for creative professionals such as yourself, myself, to succeed in today's business environment?
If you've read the book The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, I think you have to follow that process. No matter what field, no matter what track you go through, you have to keep pushing and follow what you believe and what you could be. Don't follow the masses. I think that's the biggest thing.
All right. Like that. Now, you've had a couple of different companies that you operate. You've worked for different jobs. If you look at kind of the turning point of your career, when do you feel that happened?
I don't know. I think my life has always been turning. I don't know if there was one set point. You mean when I look back and I go through my meditation processes in the morning, I realize that everything was everything that was everything, and it all connected to here. So I don't think there was one turning point at all. It just kept spinning together. Life happens for you, not to you,
Yes. Love that quote. Love that saying. So agree with you there. I had a question come in from the audience. I want to read it to you and get your response. People think entrepreneurship is glamorous, and it can be, but more often it is a constant grind with ups and downs, empty bank accounts, and incredible stress. Tell us about the other story of entrepreneurship and some challenges you face that people might not be aware of. Right
now, I'm living, but it's been a past. Like it's been a path that I think if people knew the path, I think it would take a lot for people to do it. Like if they really knew what this takes, like it was on the line every single day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to answer that one. I don't mind being transparent, but it was a lot. There was a lot taken away. There was a lot lost. There was a lot won. There was a lot of sleepless nights. There were also some days when I actually was sitting, beside the dresser, wanting to open up that dresser, and you sort of know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we can kind of continue down that line. I'll first ask you where you are currently. Why do you love what you do?
I really I recently just answered that question. My first love was to design outdoor spaces, and you can sit out and listen to the birds and the water. And I wanted to take the indoor outdoor. I didn't want just your basic patio. Like I did patios for years. We built a $6 million operation, and at the height of its height, I shut it down. And my wife was like, "What is wrong with you?" And because I felt like I wasn't adding value to people's backyards, I was just throwing bricks down. I had 4 crews operating. I had to keep those guys going. And we were just job after job after job. But I was just doing a big bunch of ugly patios everywhere. And I don't mean to say they're ugly. It was beautiful to build it. It was great work. We built one heck of a business to build it. But it wasn't it wasn't speaking to me. And I wasn't happy. I mean, I am that story of that guy who becomes highly successful and is not happy and says, we got to do something else. So I gave it all away. I mean, the house, the cars, the offices, everything. I shut it down and started from scratch all over again. I mean, it was really hard to do that. And so now I know I'm clicked in and following my passion now. I know it. I feel it.
Right. Was there a certain thing that happened where it caused you to be like, okay, it's time to make a switch?
Gotta be kidding me. Come on, Wi-Fi.
Here, hold on. You see me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So just tell us about what happened to you to make that switch? Like, what was the issue?
There was a lot. There was a lot of racial issues. I was running a business in Columbus, Ohio, and my clientele was sort of an echelon up in the higher suburbs and things like that. And we had a lot of racial issues. I mean, dealing with the police. I mean, even the police would come into the office, harass us. Clients would talk to me as if I was just some slave. And we even hired, we had to hire white people to run our sales program. And they didn't even know I was the owner. They thought I was just some manager of the company. So here I am running this $6 million operation. And it wasn't let me take this, speak it right. The company wasn't a $6 million a year company. In a conglomerate of 9 years, we did $6 million in sales. Mm-hmm. So, but here I am running this operation and I can't even own it. Like, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like? What happened for you to be more comfortable eventually to be the face of your company?
One, we packed up and we left Columbus, Ohio, and we moved to Chicago. I came here to visit my brother-in-law a couple of times, and I actually saw Black people walking around, and they were dressed nice and speaking well. They were at the nice restaurants. I'm like, wow, Black people do that? Like, that's what Black people do? So I was like, I want to be a part of that. And I moved here, and I actually, one of my good buddies, I'll give him a lot of credit for it. He was on the HGTV show, Yard Crashers. His name was Ahmed Hassan. And him and I had a real heart-to-heart conversation one day. He said, brother, you have to stop hiding behind your technology and your website. He said, I noticed you're doing it. He said, it's working. But at some point in time, you've got to start showing your face. And so he actually taught me how to come out of that shell to become who I am.
Okay. Now, as people are following along on our interview live, where can they go to see some of your work as we're talking right now? Where should we direct them? I'm multifaceted everywhere. Like my main Facebook page, Duane Draughon, I do a lot of stuff over there. The other Facebook page, VizX Design Studios is the name of the company. And then also the website, www.vizxdesign.com. Instagram, I read some Grant Cardone stuff and they said, you got to be omnipresent. I mean, I'm coming at you hard every single day, all day. You would think that we have a huge marketing machine, and it's just a couple of people. We are killing it daily. So that's sort of where we are. Awesome. Keep that up. I'm curious, what does Egbert Brown mean to you?
Wow. Where'd you get this from?
I did a little research. We do a little research.
Egbert was like a father. He was a business father. He was that black face that I could call up in the middle of the night and say, bro, I'm broke. I'm struggling. I don't have it. I can't do this tomorrow. And he died without telling me he was dying too.
Sorry to hear that. I'll also ask you, as we look forward, what is something that scares you?
Well, you got me. That was a good one. You gotta, like, I gotta get my composure after that.
Well,
man, I really love that guy. Like, you didn't have black people to talk to about business. Like, I couldn't call family and cousins and say, hey, I got $150,000 in a bank account. What am I supposed to do with that? I mean, you can't really call your family and say that because everybody got bills they got to pay too. And so Egbert, I could call him in the middle of the night, you know what I mean? And we could talk about that. Man, how'd you find that? Dude,
I did a little research. Okay.
Man, you shook me up on that one too. Okay. I gotta get my composure. Yeah.
We'll collect yourself. Here, I'll ask you another question to kind of get you calm. I'm curious because I did this as well. As you were running your company, you also drove for Uber and did some side hustling. Why did you decide to do that? I know why I did it, but why did you decide to do it?
Okay, let me answer the first one, the fear. I don't mind that one. The fear is living a life of a limited belief and not going after every single thing that I want to go after. That's my fear. Nothing's in my path. Nothing's in my way. There's no, I can't. I'm going to figure it out and do it. That's my fear, is not living it all the way to the end. That's my fear. The whole Uber thing, that was actually supposed to be quiet and hidden, but I'm such a loud person. It always happened. Like, if I sold drugs, I would probably be the greatest drug dealer in about a year, and I'd probably be in jail faster than everybody else because I would have websites, distribution channels, everything. I would get in trouble fast. But the Uber thing, I gave up on my business. The business was doing well. We were successful. I had a rough patch, and we were going through one hell of a patch. I was sort of lost, and I was broke. We were getting kicked out of our place. Everything was collapsing and falling apart. And my wife jumped up and she said, I'm going to do this thing. And so then I would see her drive out every day. I'm like, dang, she's doing this. And my lazy butt is laying on the couch. And I wasn't being lazy. I was just doing everything in my power to get business in the door, and nothing was happening. And so I signed up. And then, like you said, like I was explaining, everything else that I do, I end up becoming the best at it. So I became like the #1 Uber driver in the city. And I still believe to this day, they made the rule of 10 hours because of me. I still believe that because it was crazy nonstop. And I was maintaining a Chicago lifestyle in the suburbs in an Uber car, which was almost impossible. It was crazy.
Yeah. I'm sure that's just the experiences and the people you met and the things you saw were probably just crazy. I'm sure you could write a book on that.
Yeah, the conversations were beautiful, though. Like, there's certain things that I've learned that I got from that I'm probably even a better business guy because of the conversations I had.
Now, currently, when you're looking at the competition, how do you rise above all the noise and distinguish yourself?
There is no competition.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Our operation is so unique in what we do and how we do it. I really don't even care what the competition is doing. If so. If you're competition, you're probably trying to copy me. And the moment you copy me, I've spun into, I'm already 10, 15 steps ahead on something else that I'm doing. And I'm not speaking in forms of arrogance. I'm speaking in form of confidence. Like, we're constantly pushing this thing at a different element every day. We are the breath of fresh air in this industry. So there's no competition.
When you think back to when you almost gave up on your company, what caused you to kind of come back and not give up and keep pushing forward?
I woke up. All
right. As you continue to succeed and get more awards and more press, and you travel all over the country and pretty soon all over the world doing what you do, you're going to acquire more critics, or haters as we call them. How do you handle your critics?
Bring it on.
You're like, I'm ready. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it does affect you. I guess, say your past creates your present. And so everything we see in our life right now and everything we experience is what we've gone through our past. So as much as racism, that was a horrible experience to go through from anybody, especially with a family. I think a lot of that has created that sort of thick skin for me. And so as long as you're not racist, I mean, the racist to me was the harshest one because that affected my dollar bill. If you're just talking about me, great. But take a look at my portfolio, take a look at the people that I've touched and changed. I mean, I'm not only in this business just to help business people. I mean, I mentor young men and I mentor people on a daily basis. I'm actually raising my competition daily. Like I'm talking to other businesses and other designers, and I'm giving them tips about designing every single day. If I see something online, they post it and it looks like garbage, they're getting a phone call from me and saying, hey, change, move this. And that's potentially my competition, but I'm elevating the industry.
Right, exactly. Speak a little bit more about how you're kind of inspiring, motivating people, mentoring people. I know you work with a lot of people who used to be in the system and you're giving them jobs. Talk about kind of your vision there.
Well, they don't have a chance, like you're only going to grow according to, like, you hear the saying that a fish only grows according to its fishbowl. And so if the fishbowl's small, it's going to be a little fish. And a lot of these people who are in these bad neighborhoods and things like that, they're not just bad. I mean, that's their environment. Like if my dad sold drugs, I would be a drug dealer. Like, you know what I mean? That's really it. Like we say, oh, these kids are bad, they're suck, they're horrible. If your mom was a pimp or she had, men coming in and out, a lot of times you're going to be that unless something catches you and inspires you and changes you. But if you're robbing banks, that's what you're going to do. You understand what I'm saying? So mentoring them and changing that's what I like to do.
All right. So one of our guests watching live wants you to come to Colorado. You can come to Colorado and do work there as well, correct?
Yeah. We travel. I've been, since I moved to Chicago, I've been to every major airport in America but Seattle. So that's next on the list. But I travel the entire United States doing what I do.
All right. I'll connect you two afterwards for sure. Definitely. Tell us about the darkest time of your life, how you got through that, and what did you learn from that experience?
You already got me to tear up once. Now you're trying to get me to tear up again. And I have to be authentic. Here's what I found out. Mm-hmm. When I was I've never told this, so I'm about to tell you. I'm not that I never told this. I've never told this live online. Okay. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, my father wanted me to go out the back. He was going out the back door with my brother. And the door was a little hard for me to shut. So I took a running start and slammed it. Well, he could have been having a day that day. I don't know if he was having a bad day, or he could have been having a day like I experienced in my life. And he came back in and he tore me up. I mean, he whooped my tail. And the whole time he's whooping me, I'm telling him, like, bro, I wasn't being mean. And he kept yelling at me, you're being mean, you're being mean, you're being mean. The thing about it was he was the nicest guy in the world. So if you can't be nice to this guy and he doesn't see niceness, something's not right. And so this is something recently I just realized. What I did was I locked in and I followed him my entire life. And I did everything to prove to him that I wasn't mean. So the first business that went to $6 million, that was to prove to him that I could do it. Like that I could do this. Because he was always saying, nah, bro, nah, you can't do this. I'm like, he wasn't saying no, but he was saying no and to be safe. Be safe. Don't go out there and those white people get in trouble. Don't have all these crews and you get stuck out there. And I was like, I could do it, Dad. I could do it, Dad. I could do it, Dad. Well, we moved to Chicago and he died. And so for 6 years, I had nobody to show it to. And I lost everything. Everything. Every dollar that was in my bank account, every home that I was living in was a struggle. I could barely pay rent from 1 week to the next. I starved for 3 or 4 days with my kids and my family. I mean, they rode with me and they knew that is tripping. Like, what's wrong with that? And they stayed. But I went through the eviction process more than once, more than twice. It was almost so bad that the judge knew who I was. Cars were always, bank accounts were always getting taken. And I was just, I could not figure out what was going on. Well, a year ago, I realized that I was living on these limited beliefs And I realized that I am great, and I'm great again. And all it was, matter of fact, the reason why Melissa's so special with me is because I had that experience staying with her in Texas for like 4 or 5 days. I got to awaken my life and myself, and that beast that was in me reignited with Melissa. Every single morning we talked, we hung out, and I was going to this event, and that animal has just unleashed again, and it's bigger and better and stronger than anything. Like, I wake up some mornings like, I can't believe that this is the man that I am now, compared to all these years that I was sort of whimpering around. And I was a lost puppy waiting for my dad. Like, where you at, buddy? Because I never got to mourn. Like, we moved to Chicago. I gave everything up to make sure he was okay in the hospital. And when we finally got back home after the funeral, I had $46 in a bank account, and eviction notice, and all the power and electricity is being shut off from our house. So I'm in a brand new city, brand new state, just moved here. Matter of fact, the real truth is, I didn't even move to Chicago until he died. I moved my family, and I was stuck back at home dealing with it. So when I finally got to Chicago, I was broke, flat broke.
If you could pick maybe one sentence to share with your dad right now, what would you say?
Thanks. Because he wasn't mean, but he knew that I could produce, and he was always on me to produce.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how you're going to answer this question. Who was the most influential person for you growing up?
Growing up as a child,
yeah,
I would say Uncle Russell, Melissa's father. He gave me a lot of pointers in life.
What do you find easy to do that your friends find hard to do?
Live.
All right.
I know how to live now.
How did you learn how to live?
I went to and it sort of was an accident, but I went to a Tony Robbins UPW event that I met this guy by the name of Josh Gillow online, and he came to Chicago, and we had dinner, and we were sort of talking about our goals. Like, we're in the same industry. He owns almost the exact same type of company I do. And we were talking about our goals for dinner, and it was sort of like a handshake. Hey, great to meet you. We only met online. And like a couple months later, he said, I got a gift for you. And I was like, what is it? He said, I got some tickets to a Tony Robbins event. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't know what it was. Tony Robbins. Okay, great. I'm gonna make some more money in my business. I'm like, I didn't even let him know that I was Ubering at the time. So I was sort of acting like I was running a business, but I had clients, but not enough to maintain my life. And so the Uber was the life. And so I saw it. I'm like, okay, I got to get hotels. I got to get rental cars. I got to get all this stuff. And my cousin, he was my cousin, but I considered him my nephew. He died at the time. And so that gave me the excuse not to go to the event. And so like the next year later, he was like, you still want to go? And there was something new that ignited me. Actually, Melissa spoke about it last time. It was about changing your thoughts. I was in the Uber car so long, I found this video by Joe Dispenza, and it's talking about change your thoughts, change your mind. And so I would listen to it every day on the way home. Like as I would work the business from 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock in the evening. And then from 2:30, I would Uber till 12 o'clock at night. And that's how I made it. So on my way home, sometimes every night, I would listen to this Joe Dispenza say, change your thoughts, change your thoughts, change your thoughts. So I just started changing my thoughts. And it was like a change them. And I said, okay, I'm going to find this money and I'm going to go to this event. And that event flipped my whole lid.
Definitely. So we're going to talk about that event. You're now a fire walker. Tell us about that experience about walking on fire, first of all.
This is going to sound really funny. Most people remind me about walking on fire. Right. I was so jacked out of my mind and in another world. I don't even remember walking on the fire. I don't even know what it felt like. I was just in a zone and I just did it. It was like 12 or 13 feet and I just did it. The greatest part about walking on fire was not really walking on fire, was coming home and my 12-year-old son was like, Dad, let me see your shoes. And I gave my shoes. He said, they don't look burnt. And I said, bro, because I did that barefoot. And the look on his eye was powerful.
Right. If you think back to that event, what were probably the one or two most valuable takeaways you got from attending?
This is the very most valuable way. Putting my hand on my heart and feeling it beat. No matter what we want, no matter what toys we want, no matter how much money we want in the bank, no matter who we do, no matter where we travel, none of that means nothing without putting your hand on your heart. None of it. And so learning how to put my hand on my heart and still feeling it beat was amazing. I still do that every single morning to this day. And I remember coming back home and laying on my wife's chest and just listening to her heartbeat. That's it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. When you look at where you are now, what would you like to be better at?
I'm learning that education, not in terms of schooling, but education in whatever you're doing, gets you to where you need to be. So I'm more present at learning new things. Like I got to staff up the operation and we have to staff it pretty much like overnight. And so I'm learning how to staff and put the people in the right position, things like that. So it's really about learning. I have to pay more attention to learning everything I possibly can, every class, everything. That's it. The key to life is you don't know what you don't know. So I gotta know.
Yes, definitely. Many people choose to never invest in themselves. How have you continued to invest in yourself, and what advice do you have for people who maybe are a little scared of investing in themselves?
If you draw a circle on the wall, the biggest circle you possibly can, big circle. I mean, go outside and draw a circle bigger than you can imagine in the earth. And you take a little marker and you poke one little dot and you take another little dot. The first dot is that's what you know you know. The second dot is that's what you know you don't know. Okay? The rest of the circle that fills everything up in the space is what you don't know you don't know. So if you're not spending money on yourself or you're not taking classes or educating yourself, that's everything in life that you don't know you don't know. You can't get yourself to that promised land that you think you're going to do if you don't know it. And you don't know it. So you got to know it.
It's evident from our interview now that you have an incredible amount of resilience. What's your definition of resilience, and how have you been able to grow that muscle?
I'm going to give that credit to the United States Marine Corps. And that's where that came from. Going through, like I did a double hit on Marine Corps. Now I'll drop a couple things too that I haven't really dropped to in real life. I wasn't supposed to go to the Marine Corps. I was supposed to actually go to the Air Force. I was in the Civil Air Patrol, and I had an air traffic controlling job at an E3 right off the rip out of boot camp. And this guy by the name of Sergeant Myers, he was cool with the family. He kept coming around, and Marine Corps. I'm like, dude, I'm going to the Air Force. Get out of our house, blah, 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 blah. And then he called me up one day and said, hey, bro, you want to play some basketball? We do some training. And I'm like, cool. And so the next morning, we go to this hotel. I should catch on, but when I look back, I was 17. So you're not really thinking about what you're doing. And I stayed at the hotel, woke up the next morning, went to MEPS, went through the physical. And he's like, okay, we're swearing in. I'm like, dude, I'm not swearing into the Marine Corps. I'm going to the Air Force. And like three of them, like, we're going to beat your ASS if you don't sign up for the Marine Corps. And so I'm like, okay, I signed up. I had no clue what I was doing. That boot camp was serious. I look back. Matter of fact, I'm 44 and 43 was last year. And that Tony Robbins UPW was the first thing I've ever gone through in my life that competed with the United States Marine Corps boot camp. Then I never picked my job. So my job was the United States Marine Corps, but I was also infantry. So I was now being trained to kill. That being a killer in the United States Marine is the very hardest job the Marine Corps gets, other than Navy SEALs and all the other things. So I went through double wham of training. They were both 13 weeks apiece. Here's where the real story lies, and this is something that I'm going to lay some truth on today. I got hurt in infantry training school. I had flat feet, and my arches collapsed on an 8-mile hump back. I couldn't even walk for 2 days, and I hid from I had to go to the hospital because they're like, something's wrong with this guy. and they said you had plastic plans. We have to kick you out of the Marine Corps. Okay. I hid from them and I graduated infantry training school on flat feet, couldn't walk, still marching, still doing whatever, something that human beings should not do. And how I hurt myself was my buddy was falling out and I had my ruck on my back. I put his ruck on my back and I tied his arm to my pack because he kept falling. So I drug him and I drug both rucks back, and that's how I hurt myself. Well, what happened was I made it to the fleet and we were pumping out to go to Bosnia during that situation when Bosnia was having that. So every Marine has to go through medical. And I knew that if I go to medical, we're going to have an issue. And so, but they pulled it up. They saw my records. They was like, bro, you got an issue and you've been hiding. And I'm like, yeah. He said, we have to send you home. And I'm like, what? He said, we got to send you home. We can't send you to Bosnia. He said, you got to get out of the Marine Corps. I said, I'm not getting out of the Corps. And so I went to my gunnery sergeant and he went berserk, yelling and screaming, this is some BS, blah, blah. He said, Duane, I'm going to go fix that. I'm going to go fix that. I'm going to fix that. And he took me outside and he took me around the corner. And this is, wow. I don't really tell too many people. This is live. I'm telling you this. He took me around the corner and he says, Duane, the reason why you're in the company office, you're very intelligent and I love your poise. Out of all these Marines in this unit, I see you're going somewhere, going places. I know I've heard about your businesses. I've heard what you've done, whatever. He said, if they're going to send you home, you go home and you become the greatest man you can possibly be. And that's been my motivation. I have never forgotten that whole conversation. And it's somewhat been to the detriment of my life too, is because I felt the Marine Corps was my very first failure in life. And I refused to have another one. And I've killed it. Like I remember doing brick pavers and it would be raining outside and I'm still working in the rain and pushing through the mud. And because there's just no failure in sight. I remember Ubering. I had to pay rent one time and the landlord was just pissed and he was about to kick us out. And this would have been like number 4 eviction process. And I was like, I can't go through it again. I Ubered for 18 hours. I had a system where I was popping coffee and 5-hour energies at the same time. And I was going to Uber more, but I actually ended up having a stomach ache. And that was God saying, go home because you're going to kill yourself. And, that was the thing. And I finally released myself from that too. Like, don't kill yourself, enjoy your life. So I enjoy life now. That's probably why I'm so emotional, because I understand what life is now and I enjoy it. And I wish everybody was emotional. Enjoy life. Don't be afraid. Breathe. Let it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate your authenticity. Now, when you were 21, you were living in Columbus, correct?
Correct.
We're going to go back and talk to 21-year-old Duane, give him advice based on what you know now. What advice would you give your younger self?
Don't ever be afraid of anything. There's no such thing as failure. There's no such thing as failure. Don't ever be afraid. Don't let, something I read in a negotiation book, actually, Melissa, her and I, we love this book, but he said, nobody, up until one case, but nobody has ever died from a deadline. And so don't be afraid of a deadline. Tomorrow's not here yet. Matter of fact, the next second is not even here yet. So don't be afraid of nothing and push. Just believe. You mean, and I basically, if I'm telling my 21-year-old self, my 21-year-old self is doing what I'm saying. And so that's what I love about that little 21-year-old. I was hell, at 21, I was 100K a year, income. So that 21-year-old was doing good too.
All right, respect. What is the one lesson in life that took you the longest to learn?
To live. I waited 43 years to learn how to live. To be. Everybody wants to live in happiness and they want to live in joy and all these other things. And they think it's a person, place, a thing, or a car. I got to buy something. I got to do something. Or this person that I'm with is going to make me happy. But it's like riding a bike. I can teach everybody who's on this podcast and listening how to ride a bike. But it's not until they learn balance and they have to learn it for themselves is when they can ride that bike. And this is where I am now, is that I know that the present moment is it. Like, this is the most important time in my life right now, talking to you. This is it. This is everything I live for, from birth is it. This is it right here. And then the next moment will be the next moment. So this is it.
When you meet people who maybe are struggling to just live and be as you are, what advice do you give them to kind of find their way?
I'm having a rough time with that because I'm recently awake, and now I want everybody else to wake up, and I feel like I'm fighting with them, and I'm learning how to be where they are, but where they are, I'm not getting. Get up, wake up, stop tripping. It's not here. Like that Marine is waking, is yelling and screaming to wake up. So I know I have another purpose other than running the business, because that Marine part of me is going to wake a lot of people up. Matter of fact, my business card has 5 things that on the front of my business card, it has my name and the business name, but on the back, it's my 5 purposes for life. And that waking people up is one of that purpose for life. So every breath that I take, everything that I post, I'm waking people up. Wake up.
Yes, yes. What are the other 4 purposes on your business card?
It's I want to travel 4 months out of the year. I want to be gone. I'm a private pilot, so purchasing an airplane is my next thing, and I want to not only travel, but I want to do that in my plane, my personal plane. The other one is waking people up, and I'm doing my passion also teaching how great outdoor living can be. Enjoying that environment and getting people to understand that I'm sick of hearing that it doesn't add value. Nothing of garbage adds value. You know what I mean? So if you go with the low budget or the low cost or the low thing, it has no value. It's just the way it is. But if you pay attention to the architecture, the styles, the materials, the views, how it's built, it's going to add value. And so what I want is, and I'm making a statement in the sand, when houses are sold and they're designed by our company, that is now in the MLS, and the words are going to be spectacular outdoor living. And those houses are being sold because of the outdoor living space. That is my postage stamp on this earth.
Preach. Love it. And I agree. I've seen the work, the videos, and the pictures online. So I agree. It's some tight thing.
Thank
I want
you.
to get you to come out to California, help me out with my little patio.
I'm game. I'm there.
What is one new habit that you have added to your daily routine in the past year or so that has been most beneficial?
The meditation. Yeah, that's my special place.
I always ask people when they talk about meditation, for new people who are struggling to get in the meditation groove, what advice would you have for them to get started?
You know, the hardest part I think that people have meditation is they think it's this magical world, like this spaceship that you get inside and you start seeing other planets and all that stuff, and you start seeing all these lines on this earth. Though I've probably experienced something like that a couple times, but really meditation is just yourself. I mean, like I said, it goes back to the heart. We're always running around and we think we don't owe nobody SHIT. We don't owe anybody nothing. Okay, we stay our color and we die our color. We don't owe anybody nothing. So we're running around trying to please everybody, and we forget that we are our being. And people say, well, I don't have time to meditate. You mean don't have time for yourself? And that's what you hear. So my meditation process is 45 minutes to an hour. And I leave the house. I'm gone every day because it's mine. It's my day. It's my time. And that's what I want to you tell people, that like you don't have to be in this crazy world. You're just being by yourself. You turn off the music, turn off everything else, and just sit down and talk to your soul. Your soul's going to tell you what it wants. And sometimes it doesn't get mad at you, but it's going to put its hand down and say, you're doing something stupid and you need to pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you walk around, you just leave the house for 45 minutes to an hour and just be with you.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Now, on the podcast, we're really big readers. I know you're a very big reader as well. So if there's 1, 2, or 3 books you feel people should stop what they're doing right now and start to read them immediately, what books would you recommend?
Oh, there's so many. That's like picking your favorite song. Because if I say one, it's
Right.
gonna diminish the other. So let me give that disclaimer first. If I say one, it doesn't diminish the other. I just can't remember the other ones. The Big Five for Life. That was a life changer. Black People. Trevor Noah's book was beautiful. I mean, especially even the way he narrated. Like I did the audio version. That was amazing. The Negotiation book by Chris Voss was a
Yes.
strong one. One of the business books that saved the finances, because I've always been very successful all my life in business. Even when I was struggling, I was successful closing deals, successful making money. I could always make money. The problem was I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to put it in the right spots and manage it. And so all my wife would be here like, babe, what am I supposed to do? And then what happened was I would throw it on her and say, you do it. And then if it don't go right, I get mad at her and we have these big fights. So another powerful book is called Profit First. I learned how to separate and manage the funds and put them in the right spot. And that was probably, there's just so many others. Like I feel bad for not even mentioning them because I could be diminishing them, but I'm just pick up books and read. Matter of fact, it's not just read them. You can get a gem anywhere.
Yes, agreed. Leaders are readers. That's the saying as it goes. What's been the best advice you've ever received?
Your word. I was Willie Miller Landscape Tree. I was Mr. Big Time Businessman at like 22, 23 years old. So I got this deal where he was going to cut down some trees for me. And I told the client, it was my first time where I did like the pass through where I told the client the price and I got the price from him. And he was a grown man. This guy is like 50 something years old and I'm 20 something years old. And I made some money off the deal and I got paid everything. And so I told Willie Miller that I was going to meet him in the morning and drop off the check. And it wasn't that I didn't have the money. I was just running around doing I didn't make it a priority. And so I didn't even get to Willie Miller that day. And he called me up the next day and he said, hey, young man, he said, are you okay? Are you sick? I said, no, I'm okay. He said, you sure you're healthy? No problem. I said, no. He said, I'm just checking to make sure you're healthy because, a man is all he is his word. He said, you said you were going to meet me at my house and with a check and you didn't. And I just want to make sure that you still have your word. And I've never forgotten that. Like, I've never forgotten that.
Yeah, powerful. Keep your word. Are you a sports fan at all?
No.
It's okay. We'll paint this picture. Say you're coming out and you're going to a big arena in Dallas and Duane is making a speech. What song is playing for you as you walk out to make your speech? What's your walk-up song?
Wow. Wow. I have to get back with you on that one. Okay. I do know in that event, One Love is going to be playing by Bob Marley. I do know that. That music speaks volumes. I don't know if that's my intro. I'm a house listener, so I'm not really like all the other music. And I do have the song, but I don't remember the name. I have to say it's probably Million Voices, and it's and it just plays that way. And that song makes me hype. I will flip upside down, and I can't flip. And when I come out on stage, not if, but when I come out on stage, I'm gonna have that crowd I want everybody's hearts to beat out of their chest and bust and scream and jump. I'm coming with it.
Yes, as you should. Well done. Duane, before I ask you the final question, I just want to say first, thank you for appearing on the show. I really appreciate your authenticity, your vulnerability. I don't think I've had any guests in over my 140, 50 shows be as vulnerable as you were today. So I really appreciate that. I want to say thank you. We let our guests leave us with any last-minute words of wisdom or advice. So I'll say thank you again and allow you to take us home.
What advice that I have to give is like what I'm experiencing now. Don't wait 43 years to live. We were all born, and I love them to death, but we were all born with parents, and our parents had parents, and they had parents, and they had parents. I don't want to say anything bad about my mom and dad. I love them to death. but they were taught limited beliefs. Their parents were taught limited beliefs, and all these parents were taught limited beliefs. I'm speaking to say that's what they were limited beliefs, and their beliefs were to protect. I didn't grow up in that environment where the police were shooting at and hanging us for no reason. So we had form of protection. So maybe there's a shield of belief that I can go away with now. But what I want to leave as advice: stop living your life in fear of these limited beliefs and what you feel you can't do. There's no such thing as a what do they always say? An obtainable goal.
Unattainable goal. Yes.
Oh, it's another word, and there's no such thing as this goal. Well, write your goals that are obtainable easy. Hell no. Write them as highest and greatest as you. Matter of fact, you should be stressed out and cannot sleep trying to figure out how to get this goal, because the only thing it's going to do is make you that person to become. And learn how to be in the moment. Stop worrying about this and stop worrying about that. Stop feeling like you're less than. You're no inferior. The moment you became the superstar is when that sperm hit the egg, is when it's a superstar, because it takes millions of sperms to go for that egg. And when that one hit, at that moment, the universe knew you were the superstar, and it gave you your heart. And always, always put your hand on your heart every day and love yourself.
Words to live by. Thank you. Hold on real quick.
And you got me going today.